water or stop?
Yeah, so that's been a long-standing problem. Is that these big growers have levees and things on their properties to control the flow of water. So when they need more water, they can get their big tractors and divert water to where they need it, which causes everyone else to have a drought. But when it's too much water and they don't want to ruin their fields, they open up their levees and let the water flow. Well, that flows into the communities, and so the people end up suffering for that. And so with all of the publicity that we got last year, and Mr. and Mrs. Kadara they are not silent people. They are very much active. So if you met Denise on the first night, Denise and Coyote, Denise is the she's the president of the Allensworth Progressive Association.
Is she at the Twin Ribbon?
Yes. So she's very much an activist, and she's fighting for Allensworth and just for the rights of people who've been mistreated. And so she went to the governor's ball because she had something to say. She's very much in the political space and speaking on behalf of these communities. And so all of that publicity got a lot of attention to these growers. And suddenly this year we didn't get any flooding. And they weren't opening up their levees so that we would flood. But the same thing with the Santa Fe Railroad. They were diverting water intentionally to go into Allensworth so that the water wouldn't flood their tracks. And I understand them wanting to protect their assets, but at the detriment of the community members. So it's still a war going on, and we're just being very outspoken about the truth and what's really going on. Nobody wants to touch these big growers because they have all this money, they have all this political pull, and they're paying the politicians. And so, the only recourse we have is to get it into the public's ears, let them hear what's going on, let them see what's going on.
Okay.
A very mini farm.
Well, this is mini. But it's 1 mile long. It starts at that far end and it goes all.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
It used to be an old railroad right of way. Yeah. We're the ones that built
You're
it.
the ones who built it. Okay. Okay.
How long? How long ago?
Well, we got the land in 2001, but we've been planting gardens but for probably over maybe 30 years. Yeah, we had gardens all over town, and then we asked the city to, when this came up for sale, they have, one person applied for a Rails of Trails grant and purchased this land, which is 1 mile long, and we planted gardens and the whole thing. But before that, it was more difficult because we were always on people's properties.
Yes.
In fact, that little part is not of the garden. It's part of the garden now, but it's not owned by the city. And we had that before we got this.
Oh, okay.
So that one we've had about 30 years. With this we started working on it just over 20 years ago.
Okay. Are you leasing from the city?
No.
Oh,
We told them no. We told them you buy and put a garden.
Oh.
But because of that, we have big fights. Really
yes.
big fights. And it's a bad deal. We should have. I don't know what we would have done, but we're a nonprofit. We should have applied for the money ourselves.
Is this where you had a tropical garden?
Yeah, we do have that. Is a tropical garden. Yeah, we grow guavas, mangoes, papayas.
Yeah.
All kinds of stuff. So first, I should tell you, I worked at the University of California for 35 years. I was a farm advisor who did research on vegetables and berries. With the gardens, we actually, my wife and I started working with gardens, actually with kids, in 1972. And so, at first, we decorated the community, we cleaned up the parks and all that, painted graffiti. But soon after that, we started doing gardens with the kids. And so we had gardens, we had like 8 different gardens around town. And the problem with that was that we had to have liability insurance. And a lot of people didn't want us on their property without liability insurance. So then we got at first we got the university that allowed us to create like a little 4-H club, but they had too many regulations and you have to do things their way, and they have programs, and it didn't fit what we wanted to do. So we didn't use that no more. And eventually another agency gave us, they provided a certificate for insurance on the locations where you got property. So we did that for probably 10 years. We worked on private properties, and then eventually we got some large pieces of parcels over here just on the south side of town, and there we had like a whole city block on 2 sides that we would plant, and then also we used the levee, and then we had this garden here too. So we had gardens actually in every part of town. Yes.
Not necessarily just driving up, but the maneuvering of the lakes. How has it helped the San Joaquin Valley?
Oh, the lakes?
Yeah, drying them up and maneuvering them into different spaces. How has it helped?
Well, this is a natural lake. Actually, now it has these levees, but this was a natural lake. When the owner who built that ran out of money, he sold it, and a group of growers bought it because they have water rights. Water rights are huge. If you talk about having gold, this is better than gold, having water rights. So they have the water rights, and so they're hard to deal with too, because they made us think we had a lot of plants along the bank all the way down, and they made us remove them, which is really sad because you have really beautiful shrubs up there. But so it's a private water company, and they had a board of directors. And recently, I don't know if you know who Wonderful is. Wonderful is the pomegranate people.
Yeah.
They actually bought 51% of the stock. So actually,
that they can have some water rights.
They are the owners now with 51, because they'll decide what they're going to do with it.
So Wonderful bought this.
That's wonderful. It used to be it's called the Wachumna Water Company, named after the tribe that used to live here.
They're bigger than I thought they were.
So
What was their name? The tribe that used to live here?
they're called the Wachumni.
Wachumi?
Wachumni basically means the people.
Oh, okay. Okay.
The Wachumni, the people.
So it hasn't helped at all, the drying up of the lakes and maneuvering into different places?
When you say drying up of which lakes?
Well, this was a lake, and
No, it's still there.
so all of this was underwater.
Yeah, but what they did is they to make it higher, to have more capacity, they made that levee.
Okay.
Because most of the time, this was semi-dry. Only on wet years it would get full. What they didn't realize is when it rains a lot, it reclaims the whole land.
Yeah.
And so the benefit was supposed at that time, it was not on purpose to try to, they wanted to raise the level of water. So, but now as a water company, a water district, they're more about money than they are anything else. So the height is not that much because it's the volume of water that they send through to the different farmers along the way, and they sell the water to them. So.
And what gives them the water rights?
Once they got water rights, those are permanent.
How did they get water rights?
A long time ago, they filled out the paperwork and they have rights to a certain amount of water coming out of the Cahuilla River in the mountains. Yeah. So you can't change that. So what happens? This is Native American water from rivers and lakes, but the person who said it's mine and I have water rights to it. And so they got water rights, and so you can't fight it anymore because these old documents show that certain people have, and just a small group of people, they have the rights to the water coming out of the rivers, and that's the way it is. It's not that many people, but the people that have it, it's better than gold.
Yeah, I mean that's not an indigenous practice though.
Oh heck no. And indigenous people didn't own land.
Yeah. So
They
it's
lived with the land.
a colonial practice.
So you have to read the book about Boswell.
Yeah.
About
I'll
who?
give you the names.
Boswell.
Boswell?
Yeah.
Some stuff is like 10 cents a seed, right?
Yeah.
So you can't afford to misplant. Some boys would put them all, they just scatter them, and they thought, oh yeah, they're not going to find out. And we eventually did. We said, we told the kids, put your name on the tray. And then we knew
Who to come
it
after?
was mostly boys. Now we don't trust the girls. I mean, we don't trust the boys to put the girls because they're willing and they're very capable of doing the job exactly how you told them to do it.
Girl power.
Yes.
Gender wars.
Yeah. But we don't tell the boys that, by the way. We don't tell them that.
I mean, hey, prove yourself.
We got something else.
We would take the seeds and put them in dirt balls in mud and let it dry out and give it to the boys. And they would drive by different areas that didn't have anything going on, and they would just toss them in like little seed bombs. They were very encouraged about that. They did it actually better than the girls.
That's right.
Well, of course.
There you go. There you go.
You go with that.
The gender wars.
So Cesar Chavez, he did something that undermined.
No.
The farmers didn't like him, but
Yeah.
the farm workers did.
Yes.
Because they gave the farm workers rights, and the owners of those giant farms didn't like that.
Yeah.
So they didn't like Cesar Chavez.
So they wouldn't have liked the farmers that are still here wouldn't have liked to see a picture of Cesar Chavez in this community.
Right, because they thought, the more strength you give them, they're going to end up striking in the citrus industry, and then we'll have to be paying those guys lots of benefits and higher wages. They don't want that.
They don't want to give up power.
So are the farmers, are those Mexicans that
No.
are farmers? Those are
No.
white people that come through this area
They
and
live
they
here.
would see.
They live outside
live
of
here.
Woodlake. In fact, they weren't even residents of Woodlake, I'm sure. But you came and ask them, why did you do this? That didn't matter at the time. Just being able to keep the mural was fine.
Yeah, they don't want you to pick your
Yeah.
heroes.
So what happened is that when we had this fight with the city council this last time, 5 years ago, John Lent, he's the Right Valley Voice, he wrote a large article that went in the Times Delta and also in other major newspapers, and he criticized the city council. And he said, back in the 1971, there was an excuse, people didn't understand each other. They were different cultural. He said, but now the entire council is Mexican, and still they're doing something that's really bad, to this group. And so, it's despicable. And so he wrote a bunch of stuff, and they were upset. They were, in fact, what happened when we were hoping to negotiate, and so when our agreement ended with the city, they said you can't go back to the gardens. I said, what? He said, no, you can't go back to the gardens. The agreement's over. The same thing with we have an agreement with the district. Our agreement ended. It was a 20-year agreement. It ended. They're not recognizing the agreement anymore. So obviously, we're not going to make another agreement with you. The city, because at that time anybody could decide to dissolve the agreement. Well, the city decided to dissolve it. Then they said you're not part of you're not the garden. And we said no. Well, it is our garden. And they said if you want us to start picketing and stuff like that, we can do something like that. But we don't want to do that. And so and they said the trees are dying. Everything was wilted. All the trees are wilted. It was the summer. It's the second summer already. And my wife said, man, if we don't go back now, the trees are going to die and there's going to be nothing there. So I said, okay, no. They said, we need to come back. And so then the administrator, who's still there, he says, the only way you can come back is if you guys sign up as volunteers to the city. I said, what? Really? So what happened is that, so we signed a paper, a volunteer paper, and we crossed out all the things we disagreed with. Almost everything. We said, okay, we're city volunteers in paper, but when they come out here, they bring a group and they give them a tour and say, well, this guy's what do they call me? They call me some like the gardener here, and I said to myself, I'm the director. I'm not. I may be a gardener, but I'm also the director. So it was just a lot of disrespect, and they were vengeful. They did so many things to us. And so they offered us 2 plots of 15 acres in Visalia with funding. But we decided to stay here because this is our home. This is ours. And we, this is our home. For us, they didn't have to go to Visalia. It would have been fine. But they would have given us money. And I said to myself, that we can do that. And I said, we don't want to start all over again. So, we'll sign the papers as volunteers. We'll do that. So we did.
And then with you being here as long as you've been here and you dealing with the city and this being your home, what would you say was some of like the points that really devolved that cultural consciousness or the cultural pride that you see now from this being like a white city council to going into the hands of Mexican brothers and then really perpetuating like the subjugation of the power of the people?
Yeah. What happens is that the administrator that came was hired here. He came from TCAD. I don't even know what TCAD is. It's Tulare County something of government. It's city government. And he worked for that agency. There was a measure that was passed. Measure what was it? Measure 85. It's a tax-based thing. They raised billions of dollars and then they dispersed that money over so many years. Well, he came from that agency. As soon as he came here, the agency gave him $7 million to do a project in downtown in Woodlake. And since then, he's received another probably $10 million. So people see what he's done and say, oh, this guy, he's doing such miraculous things. And then what's her name, the Congress lady, she's running for office right now, but she gave another $7 million to do another project. In fact, they took our rose garden back here. Let's really take a look at it because they took our rose garden, they damaged it, and we thought, I said, you want to clean it up and we plant a new garden, that's fine. But the way it is right now, you guys can take care of it because it's damaged. And so what they did is they brought in the Kiwanis Club, and they wrote a book about how they saved the rose garden. They did. They wrote a book. Wow. They were on it for 2 years, but they looked like crap compared to before. And then what they decided is that they put in a garden. They're spending $5 million on putting a garden right there, but they won't put 1 penny for the gate is this way. Which is crazy. We asked them to at least give us a stub for electricity because you're going to put power over there, and they won't even do that. And so you think it's just an attitude. Instead of helping, they don't help us. Mm-hmm. And so it's just a battle that, now we're going to fight back for this piece of land, which is ours. Well, the gardens, not ours. The gardens, because they've been taking the money for all those years. And we'll see what happens. See, that's part of the garden right there, see? The image. Mm-hmm. But it's, if you find it,
we can probably go to YouTube.
Yeah, go to YouTube, the Rose Garden, Woodlake Pride, and you'll see it.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of got a question.
Yes.
Just as people entering into this work, fairly new myself, what is just some advice you would like to give us? I see how you have a very diverse, a diverse setup here, and that's kind of the road that we're traveling, regenerative agriculture.
Yes.
Yeah, so just anything, any wise words.
In Allensworth, if there's any way you guys can connect to large pieces of land that where people are not farming, it'd be so nice because the wildlife, there's a lot less wildlife now than there used to be. There used to be a ton of wildlife here, and that's always really nice to have. Because not only that, if you're away from farmers, you're away from pesticides because they're affecting the populations of good bugs that you may not realize when they treat their fields. They're using chemicals that are really strong and they kill everything. They're made to kill everything. And so having us, just having even just open fields that nobody treats, we're close to the mountains, which just helps us here right here. But the citrus orchards, they're treating them with different chemicals throughout the year. So having some land that's near you that's not farmland would be really good. Secondly is make it as nice as you want. Don't make it in a square. You notice this road is crooked. They wanted to put a road. I said, no. I said, watch me. I'm gonna make a trail with we had a little gator. So I'm gonna make a little trail, and then you follow that trail. The guy that first came out here it was just a plane. So he followed me. Except over there, he made a mistake at the beginning. It's kind of straight, but we wanted to wind because it's sort of like exploration. You don't know what's up ahead until you make the turn.
Corporations come in, snatch the water, say, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's mainly, right? It's mainly. You strive to find the goodness in everything. You feel me? But you strive to find the goodness in it because, you see what I'm saying? You're trying to polarize the view of how it's already presented. That's why you strive to find the goodness. You see what I'm saying? Because the presentation ain't good from the jump. You know what I'm saying? You see it, the reality of it, and like, I gotta strive. Now you gotta do the alchemy. You gotta apply the art of, I'm finna strive to find the goodness in this because, you feel me?
Yeah.
You present with the alternative. But I guess that's the science, you feel me? Turning lead into gold. You gotta look at something that don't really have no value or no meaning and then give it to it. Apply the value and meaning to it. Brought up the volunteer part, you feel me? But then you start seeing when the elders start speaking, I'm like, yeah, bro, they did that to me like 15 years ago. That was a way that they was able to perpetuate this power dynamic that was given to them by the council. The council, whose council? Before it was our council, it was their council. And they kind of groomed us into understanding how to rock with the council. And now the council is lightweight funking with us and we doing something so natural. So we gotta apply that thinking to our equation so that we can understand how to maneuver and navigate. Because we can't say that this shit gonna get better before it get worse. But if it get worse before it get better, at least we know how to navigate through it. You know what I'm saying? What they say. Smooth waters never made a good sailor.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So we gotta go through what we gotta go through. You see what I'm saying? But the benefit of it is that if I share my point of view and you share your point of view, we can keep it brotherly. You see what I'm saying? As we're going through it, because we're going to have to go through it. But it's something on the other side that we're striving to get. You see what I'm saying? But we're gonna have to go through some fake shit. Got to get to the real, you know what I'm saying? Because the realness is in us. You know what I'm saying? But then at the same time, you still gotta go through what you gotta go through to bring out of you what's already in you. You know what I'm saying? Because when we come out here, I mean, when you look around, like you look at the beauty of it all, this was something that was in somebody. We brought it out of them to create an environment, you see what I'm saying, that they can share with others. But if Brian bring it out of him, it would have died in him. And if it would have died in him, then he would have felt that death too. You see what I'm saying? So we gotta apply the science. I mean, it's definitely a social science to all of this, bro. It's definitely political.